Hey guys, welcome to another Homelab Series video today. In today's video, we'll be showing you how you can extend a volume in Linux. So this is like, when you get to a point where, oh man, I have like a volume that needs to be expanded because it's going to fill up in space, but I can't delete anything because everything's important. Yeah, that situation, I've ran into that a lot more than in my career than I wish I ever did, but it does happen. And, sometimes you do undersize a volume on occasion. So we'll show you how you can extend it. And yeah, so this video is also sponsored by me, myself, and I. So if you enjoy my content or want to sponsor me or send me some free swag, let me know. My email is in the description below. So let's get started. Okay, so we will log into one of our servers, and we'll actually log into our NFS server, dragon.local, because this is actually kind of makes the most sense. Where in this case, my NFS share can easily grow really quick, and this would be probably one of the first servers that I would have to ever expand my disk. So this may be slightly different than what you guys have, but essentially I'm going to be expanding my root volume because I didn't do any disk partitioning creating this server. Everything's just slapped into the root volume. So essentially you can see how the current size is 36 gigs when we have 33 available. Obviously I don't need to expand it now, but for demoing purposes I will be expanding this specific volume. But you may, depending on your use case, it could be slightly different. So you'll need to look at specifically how it is. I'm trying to explain the process so it's not an easy copy and paste per se. Let's put it that way in this one. But what we'll do here is we utilize vCenter in this. So if you're using something else, this is what I'm going to be doing here is just adding another hard drive. So you can see how you can expand, per se, and you can make this number bigger. I've tried this in previous versions. I haven't tried it in the newest version of EXXI and my current Linux box. But if you were to just say instead of 40, you did 60, it doesn't work. Unfortunately, I don't know if it's because of the Linux stuff or how EXXI handles it, but it did work on a Windows VM because it would just be unallocated and you could reallocate it, but it didn't really work clean with Linux in my opinion. So what I would recommend is not doing that because I have borked machines doing that, but add a new hard drive. And in this case, we're going to do 20. We will just make a thin provision because I don't want to deal with thick provisioned. But we'll just add a new hard drive, call it 20, right? So before we do that, I can show you here, fdisk list. So you can see how we currently have our dev SDA of 40, and these are just the other volumes here that are part of this. So what I'll do here is add this other hard drive that will just be 20 gigs. So it will reconfigure, queued, status completed. Usually it's pretty simple, especially if it's really small. Now if you're saying you're going to add a terabyte, I can't guarantee it's going to be that quick, right? But if I were to do an fdisk list now, we can see that we do got another disk, which is in this case a hard drive associated with it. So what we'll do here is configure this disk. So we need to configure this disk, and this disk is named dev SDB. So what we do is fdisk dev SDB. Then it'll give you this kind of fdisk utility. We can hit M for menu so you can see what we want to do here. So the first thing that we want to do is actually, partition the disk, make it a primary, leave everything else as default so it will use all its space. Now, if you wanted to partition it so it didn't use all its space, you could definitely do it. But in this case, we're just going to assume, hey, we got an extra 20 gigs. We're just going to throw all 20 gigs in this volume. Then we will need to set the extension type. So in this case, we'll hit T. And then you can list all the codes. So I'll type L to show you all the lists. But what we want is actually just a Linux LVM, which is 8E. So we'll type 8E here, and it'll configure 8E. So once we have that, we will hit W to write, and then we can see that now we have a new physical volume here that we created from this disk. So what we actually need to do is, so we can do a PV display for physical volume. So you can see that it's not actually, okay, so when I said we create a physical volume, it's not really a physical volume until we actually do PV create, and then we'll create a dev SD B1 in here. So now we've actually created the physical volume. So now you can see that this physical volume is referenced from what we created here from that partition. And what we want to do here is, so we want to make this part of this volume group. Volume groups are essentially just like, hey, it's a group of disks, and it will essentially just be a volume essentially from those disks. So what we do is VG extend, and then we'll name the volume group. So in this case, we have the volume groups OL, probably for Oracle Linux, and then we'll add this dev SDB1 in here. So now we can see when we do a PV display that it's associated with this volume group. So after that, we will do an LV display, and we can minimize this. And we can see how there are two logical volumes. There is the root volume, and there's the swap. Obviously, we were going to do the root stuff, so you can see how we have about less than 36 gigs available. So we got the root volume. So what we'll do here is do an LV extend -L, and then plus 100% free, which essentially says, hey, use the rest of the free allocated space in that volume and associate it with the root volume, with this logical volume. So we'll hit the extend. So now we extended it from the 36 to the 56 essentially, or 55 because it's slightly off how you do gig stuff. But that's essentially the equivalent of 20 gigs extra. And then what we'll do is we'll grow that volume, XSF grow. But before we do that, we'll show you right now in here is it's still set to 36 gigs. So the volume hasn't actually been officially resized, but we said, hey, we've added the extra space, but now we need to actually resize it. So when we do an XFX underscore grow FS, we can specify to grow this logical volume to its size. So it will go through here. Now this was very quick because it was like 20 gigs. If you had like a 2 terabyte volume, it might take a little bit longer. But now if I were to do a df-h, we can see that the volume did grow, and now it's at 56 gigs as opposed to 36 gigs. So we've extended the volume by an extra 20 gigs based off the hard drive that we added. So that's how you can do it. You can do it all in real time, honestly. So you don't need to like shut down the server to do it. It's all in there. Obviously, be careful because resizing volumes and doing things is very, very bad if you make a wrong command and you accidentally like delete all your content. So that's what you want to avoid. But essentially, that is how you would resize the volume and add more space to it so that you can put more data into it. Assuming that you have enough hard drive storage space to actually support it. So there you go, guys. That's how you do it. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.